Hello, everyone. This is Xylo here, also known as the God King uh, in League of Legends and TFT. We're going to go over our Teamfight Tactics patch of 10.20 and just see what's going to happen with buffs and nerfs and see what really goes on there and go from there. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go to the big little screenshot they have first to see what they're doing, and then we're going to go straight into like what the actual numbers are. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of that first. So if we scroll down here to the highlights, the things they're buffing are Fortune Keeper, Mage, Diana, Lissandra, Nami, Vayne, Annie, Aphelios, Hecarim, Jax, Zinzao, Yumi, Shen, Lee Sin, Yone, Luden's Echo, and Static Shiv. That's a lot of buffs to have in one patch, and I'm a little scared because we don't want to buff things too much because then it's going to unbalance the meta. I actually do think the meta is pretty balanced right now. There are a few exceptions where I think certain things are a little too strong, so buffing certain things might help and nerfing certain things might help. So we're going to have to see how that works. The nerfs are going to be to Cultist, Dusk, Spirit, Riven, Set, Sunfire Cape, and Vigor. Nerfs that I do think there that are pretty well rounded are the Riven and Set buff. Sunfire Cape, I'm a little disappointed because, as you may know from my 10 best items in TFT, the Sunfire Cape is like a well-rounded item and something that was really needed for like a Giant's Belt spot and also a Chain Vest spot. So it's like it really helps out those items because they aren't used or picked as much. So now we're just gonna have to try to find different things for those, and it's really kind of like a drag in my opinion because why why would you want to nerf something when those items are kind of like bad to begin with? They don't really have too many options, so you're kind of like hurting them a little bit. But let's just get right into it. Um, Dusk. If you're nerfing Riven, I don't really think the Dusk nerf needs to happen, but we'll have to see how that works, how much they're nerfing them, and what I'm gonna overall think about it. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So this is combat recap. They're just adding new displays to it. Remove extra 5 seconds from planning per round at the start of each set. So they give you at the start of each set of like new champions and stuff like that. They give you extra time to try to figure out what the champions do, how you want to build them. They're just removing that now, making games go a little quicker, which makes sense. Champion shop. So they're upset that people are getting 3-star tier 4 champions too frequently, which does make sense. You don't want to have a game where people are running around and playing 3-star Aries or 3-star Rivens. You don't want those golden champions where they just like win you the game just having them. They're really powerful. And actually, I was playing the other day and someone got a 3-star Ari, and you just pretty much lose. There's not much you can do in that because of the fact of how strong 3-star or golden 4-cost units are. They're really strong. They're game changing. It's almost like you just win if you get them. They're even stronger than most 5 costs. So it's just really strong. So they're taking 5% from the 4 gold slot and they're moving it to the 2 gold slot. So they're essentially just nerfing how much you find them by 5%, which is a good, not 5% as in total, it would be like 20% total, how often you find them, but they're taking 5% away, which I think is a little good, actually. All right, so under the traits. Traits. General balance, Cultist, Tyrant, Galio. Okay, they're nerfing his attack damage from 150 down to 125, and they're nerfing Tyrant Galio's health from 180 down to 160. Now, the nerf to the health, I don't know if I really like this too much. It's an overall general nerf to him, but it's a little bit of an indirect buff because people who build Giant Slayer are now going to be weaker against him. So he's actually going to last longer if he's fighting someone who's got a Giant Slayer. Now, obviously, this only works with the Galio iteration of 3 cultists, but there are some builds, very common builds, that only use a 3-cost, like a 3 cultist Galio. So in that situation, and those are usually later game builds, so they're built building a Galio in the late game, people are going to generally have Giant Slayers, and it's just not going to really affect him as much as it should. I don't know if I really generally like that. Maybe they'll consider patch or two going down, reverting the health back, but I don't see any reason why you need to nerf the health and the damage. Damage might just be enough. Alright, Dusk. Dusk team spell power goes from 2020-50 to 2020-40. So that means that the general buff of spell power to the entire team for Dusk is going to be nerfed by 10% when you have 6 Dusk, the entire team. And then Dusk spell power, so the personal spell power increase to only Dusk units went from 0.5075 to 0.5070. So it's a 5 spell power decrease. I actually think that's kind of a little balanced. But again, not a lot of Dusk units are super strong, so I don't know if I really like it because they are nerfing Riven too. Riven's the Dusk, like the head of all Dusks. It's literally the strongest, and she, as a champion, is really strong. So they're nerfing Dusk and they're nerfing Riven. So it's like a double hit on Riven. I don't know how much I'm going to like that, but we'll just have to see what they're going to do with Riven overall. We'll see what the nerfs are to Riven. Maybe it's not that bad, but we'll just have to see. All right, Keeper Shield. So they didn't change anything with the Keeper Shield besides making the 6 Keepers. When you have 6 Keepers, they buffed the shield from 325 to 400. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be a very viable buff because no one's running 6 Keepers anyways, and I don't think anyone would want to build a 6 Keeper build. It just doesn't seem really good. They don't really mesh well together. The only ones that you could say could potentially mesh well together would be the Warlords, but even then, no one wants to build like that many Warlords. Like, they don't want a third Warlord with Keeper. There's not really many good ones to build with Keeper. I'm a little disappointed in this one. If they did like the 4 Keeper buff, then maybe you see more Keeper builds because 4 Keepers is actually not terrible and is somewhat viable. So on to the next one. We got Mage Spell Power. So this is just a slight spell power buff to mages overall for the early game, which is actually a little needed because mages get like decimated in the early game. They don't really see much viability, and not until you get to like 6 mages. You don't really see many 9 mages. That's kind of like a gimmicky comp, but 6 mages you do see quite a bit after if they can get the ball rolling. But the whole thing is they need to get the ball rolling. So getting to the point where you can play them is essential. And this is going to actually help them out a little bit. Any little bit to their early game advantage is going to help them. So making a 10% buff, I kind of like it. It's not too powerful. It might just be enough to what they need. Next, we have Spirits. So a Spirit attack speed. So 35% and 90% down to 35% and 80%. So they didn't ruin Spirits when they aren't all 4, but all 4 they made them 10% weaker, which I don't think that's going to be a too hard of a hit. It's more of like a just trying to smooth them out because right now when you get 4 Spirits kind of like blindsided people. They didn't start becoming a thing until like I'd say maybe a little less than a week ago. I think probably 6 to 5 days ago. And people didn't realize how strong Spirits were, and then they just started coming out of nowhere. And it makes sense. But the thing about Spirits that I didn't like is that the only really strong Spirit, in my opinion, is Ari. So she's the problem. The other Spirits aren't that much. Let's go on to the next thing. Fortune. So they're just making it so that increase the approximate gold value of Fortune 3 at all levels, and also removed the all gold drops at higher levels of losses. Specials can also drop on 5+ losses. So Fortune's problem was pretty apparent. The rewards after losing, not good enough to actually stabilize you. So if you were getting destroyed, and your plan was to continue to get destroyed until you could get like the 9 loss gain, you just got it didn't matter. You would still lose in the end. So it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it was. They're buffing him, giving him a significant gold increase, which is nice because they need it. And as you can see here, their average gold value went from 9.25 to 10.25. And remove the all gold drop, which is pretty necessary because if you got the all gold drop, you pretty much felt demoralized because like it was just a big waste of your time. You invested so much to try to get items because the items are the real big spots. You're trying to investigate in items and you don't get a single one. You just get all gold and you're like, well, that sucks. Or get minions. You're trying to get like sets or like 5 cost units that you can use in your build. And you just don't get them and you're like, well, that sucks. I guess I'll just go and cry myself to sleep now because I just lost the game. Probably going to get 8th too. And it does happen. All right, on to the champions. Diana. So number of orbs Diana puts out went from 3, 4, 6, 10 to 4, 5, 6, 10. I actually like this a lot because it boosts Diana's early game for her weaker units. So Diana, they didn't buff her in her late game. They only buffed her in her early game. So that doesn't matter to me because most people are trying to get a gold Diana or the 4 Diana, whatever you want to call that, like a mystic Diana. I don't know what it's actually called. And then Lysandra, they did the same thing. They're only buffing her early game damage a little bit, and that's really good. Now, Nami, her Aqua Pleasant Stun went from 2.53 to 2.534. That's huge, actually, because with the buff of mages, Nami wasn't actually that bad. Now she's going to be even stronger. Vayne, just decreasing her attack speed. It wasn't that great to begin with, so attack speed buff, not bad. Kind of happy for her. Annie, shield damage, 200, 300, 450, 250, 350, 450. So they're just buffing her shield. And again, they're buffing her shield again. Super nice. Again, now this is probably going to make mages a little more viable. They didn't want to outright increase all mages' damage, so they're just buffing some mages, and then they're buffing the mage buff as well. So it's pretty cool. They're trying to make mages more viable in the scene, which I kind of do like a lot. Aphelios turret damage, or turret duration, sorry, 6, 7, 9, 11. Went to 7, 8, 9, 11. So again, they're just buffing his early game, which is really good because everyone tries to get gold or whatever the level 4 Aphelios would be. So not a huge threat because it's not going to stop people from trying to make those Aphelios is huge. Hecarim, Spirit of Healing. So they just buffed Hecarim's healing. Not too worried about that. Jax. So they're making his attack speed go up by a whole 0.1. So it went from 0.65 to 0.75. It's pretty good for his attack speed. It's going to actually help him in the duelist build a little bit. So that's pretty cool. Jack's starting / total mana went from 50 to 125 to 50 to 100. So they just nerfed the total mana he needs to use his ability by a whole 50, which is actually pretty nice. It's going to make Jax a little more relevant. He's not really that relevant right now. So hopefully we can see some cool Jax builds. All right. Jinx spell is now an actuality spell over an auto attack override. So Jinx spell is now a spell and not an auto attack. Okay. Xin Zhao's total mana went down to 30. I think that's really crazy actually for Xin Zhao because it's going to give him a huge buff. He's going to be potentially useful with blue buff significantly. So it's like, that's pretty cool. Xin Zhao's spell now properly flows through the basic attack system. He no longer heals from Hectic Gunblade, but instead benefits from Bloodthirster, and additionally his spell cast will count as a single attack for a Static Shiv and Rage Blade. So you're going to see potentially some new Xin Zhao builds because they fixed the things that were wrong with him that weren't working correctly. Cool. Yuumi, Zumi's healing. 30, 45, 60, 30, 45, 75. So they only buffed the golden Yuumi. In both aspects of Yuumi, the golden Yuumi, just making golden Yuumi stronger. Probably people who are getting golden Yuumi, they weren't really seeing that it was a significant increase, so they're trying to make her stronger as a golden. Alright, Varganol targets the lowest current health target instead of the lowest percent health. So he's going to target weaker minions first, take out backlines, take out people like Ashe. That's really good in when you're trying to kill brawlers. And you're seeing Viger just hit the brawlers the entire time, not doing any damage. He's not going to care about the brawlers, he's going to care their backline first. It's going to make brawlers less effective. Brawlers are really strong in the meta. I'm surprised they didn't get nerfed, but that's pretty cool. Brawlers kind of have a little bit of a counter now. Viger, Dark Blossom damage. They just nerfed it a little bit, and they nerfed the spell power gain when he's a 3-cost unit. So I don't think that's going to be too bad because Viger already does an insane amount of damage. I don't think that's really too much of a nerf. I'm not really worried about that, especially since they're making it easier for him to kill easier units first. So he's not really going to lose too much spell power because he's going to be gaining it as he wasn't probably gaining it before. Pretty cool. Like it a lot. Really balanced. Riven, Sweeping Strike Shield. So her shield got nerfed at rank 3. So if you get a golden Riven champion, her shield gets nerfed. And then her base form damage got a nerf by 5. So her bronze form got a nerf of damage by 5. And her, obviously, her gold got another nerf in damage, so that's pretty good. I'm not really upset about that. And then last but not least, her wave strike only got nerfed in the golden. So they're really nerfing golden ribbons, which that must mean there's been a lot of golden ribbons just popping up. I'm actually not upset about that, and it makes the dusk nerf a little more valid because Riven in the silver, which that's where she's usually built, is not getting nerfed. So it would make sense that the nerf to Dusk needed to be because how strong she is at that silver range. So I'm okay with the Dusk nerf now, and I'm okay with the Riven nerf too. It's not bad. Shen's armor boost, that's good. Shen's total mana decreased, that's good. And his taunt on rank 3 is longer, don't really care. Lee Sin, total mana from 50 to 40. That's pretty good for him. He wasn't seeing too much play, so we needed him to use his ult more often. So it's not actually bad. Set starting mana and total mana. So his starting mana is 50. His total mana was 125. Now his starting mana is 70 and his total mana is 175. So that means that it's going to take him so much longer to cast his ultimate or his ability. And I think that's really good. Yone total mana was 100 down to 80 to cast his ultimate. Very good. Like it a lot. Zillion can no longer cast his ultimate on himself. He still can cast on other Zillions. So Zillion got a nerf. But that wasn't actually stated in the patch, I don't think. So that's cool. Luden's Echo, damage 180 to 200. Static Shiv. So Luden's Echo didn't get that much of a buff. I don't think it's going to see that much play. Static Shiv was 80 to 85. Static Shiv bonus damage, 80 to 85. So they're just barely buffing Static Shiv. I don't actually like that. And then Sunfire, Cape Burn, Cadence 1 second to 2 seconds. So that means every time Sunfire burns people, instead of it burning every second, it's going to burn every 2 seconds. They effectively cut Sunfire's damage in half. Oh, that's a big nerf. We'll have to see how well it makes Sunfire played. But I do say Sunfire was really strong before. I'm a little sad to see that nerf. And then there's just some bug changes. So, overall, I'm pretty happy with how this worked and how it's going to work. I think some of the buffs were necessary and some of the nerfs also a little necessary. Spirit was a little strong and out of nowhere. And Set definitely needed to be nerfed. And Dusk was being a little too strong in the meta. So, I'm not disappointed in this at all. I'm a little happy to see the mage buff. I don't really play mages, but it's probably going to make more people play mages, so it's going to make my comps a little more open. And, overall, I'm happy with what they did. The Viger adjust was... like really needed because everything just was like revolving around brawlers, so Fire wasn't really getting stacks. All in all, I like the changes. I think they were really well-rounded changes. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. That always helps me. And share the video too, so I can just get more people to see the videos. And, hopefully they will want to watch the video and you can get more people to watch the video. And then we can just get these videos rolling more and more. The more videos I can start posting and getting people to like, the more I can post them, the more I can be more active in this community. Uh, as well, my Twitter and Twitch are always listed below as well. So if you could, go ahead and give those a follow as well. And I will be streaming on Twitch TV. So thank you again, guys, and see you next time. Deuces.